Hey everyone, this is Jamie Pate. Welcome to this video. Today we're going to return back to the daily journal. A little caveat here, I call this a daily planner in this video. It's a journal. It's the daily journal we talked about last month. There's another video from a couple months ago that I talk about this whole concept. So today I want to show you how I'm actually making the cover and the inserts to this month's daily journal. Okay, to start here, I have last month or January's daily planner. And a daily planner, I unpack this in a couple of videos, which I will provide in the links below. Something I did last year, kind of helping those of us who are in the planner community, how I provide for my memory planner, and that's by writing and journaling every day. Then last month, I shared some ideas for what the inside of my planner looks like, and this is basically what I shared, utilizing some papers from Heidi Swap, as well as some stamps to kind of open that up, and just kind of getting a little fancy as we started in this sort of opening page, and then just kind of a little bit of a look of how I dated each of the days and also gave it the day of the week. And so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail as to what is going on these pages. These pages are actually really straightforward. I will say this. These pages are super straightforward. In my mind's eye, I want to come in and add some stamping and whatnot, and sometimes I just don't. I just don't get to it. But that doesn't mean I won't get to it in the future. But this is a place for me to keep a schedule of the day, as well as keep thoughts, things that happened, quotes I come across, insights. And then it's such a great resource for me to go back through at the end of the month or at the end of the week, sometimes it's even the end of the week, and fill in my memory planner, which then includes stamping and photos and fun title work or what have you. So that's what's going on here. You know, some days I don't have a lot written down on a schedule, but then some days I have a lot written down on what took place in the day, or just, again, I hear a lot. I don't have anything to write. And I don't know, starting off in a day, that I have anything to write either, but, I think I might need to address this in a future video and maybe spend a little bit more time. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments below if that would be something you'd be interested in. Okay, to start, we're going to do what I call Planner Basic 101. And that's because I'm going to show you just the measurements of how this sort of a planner cover and the inserts gets put together. I like to start with the cover. And this is a paper from Simple Stories. It's part of their Vintage Winter Moods. It's really fun. A couple reasons why I like this. Well, one thing I'll say, I do wish it was heavier. I prefer a little bit heavier weight for cover of my planners, and that's personal preference, as are all these things I'm going to show you today are totally personal preference. But then the other thing I kind of like, and I didn't do it at all here on the January one, but one thing I do kind of like to keep in mind is having a sort of paper that I can add stamping to. So that's why I went ahead and pulled this one to show you the basic one, and then maybe even I'll show you some ideas for stamping on the cover. So to start, it's always ideal, I think, to start with a 12 by 12 piece of pattern paper, cardstock, whatever your preference would be. Then next, I'm going to cut this at the height. So this is going to be the height of my page, which is going to be 8 1/4 inches. I'm going to line that up here on my trimmer to 8 1/4. Actually, I just want to make sure before I do that I want to think, what side do I want the top cover to be? And I think I want this to be the top cover. So I need to think of that in terms of this is the top cover. So I need to line this up at 8 1/4. So then this is going to be what you see at the top. Then the width needs to be 8 1/2. So again, kind of preserving my front cover, I'm going to turn this to 8 1/2 and trim that. Now at this point, you can do one of two things. You can just fold it by hand, or you can take this 8 1/2 by 8 1/2 I'm sorry, you can take this 8.5 length and divide it in half, which is at 4.25, right? And then you have a nice score line. Just kind of carefully go along that. Make sure your edges meet. Kind of play with that a little bit if you need to, so that you have nice even edges here on this side. So that's your basic cover, right? That is as basic as it gets. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next thing that I do, though, after my cover's done. So the next thing I've done is taken some text weight paper, and there are about 15 pages. And the reason I have 15 pages is this past month with January, starting the new year, I decided I wanted a whole page spread for one day. Again, schedule on this side, notes, thoughts, quotes, prayers, songs, conversations, whatever on this side. So that then requires 15 pages, right? Now, this can get a little tricky. I don't terribly mind going ahead and just taking my paper and just going ahead and folding it right in half. That's fine by me. Now, this particular paper happens to be a dot grid. You can use plain paper, which is always perfectly ideal if you're going to be stamping on your pages. And you could use a lined paper if you came across that. And so that is just some ideas. What I like to do at this point is I use my cover to measure where I'm going to cut my papers, because as you add in, and actually this is going to need to be trimmed up just a little bit. I think I'll do that first. So let's see that we're a little bit over 8.25. I'm going to come inside 8.25 to 8 1/8 and carefully trim off the very small edge here. Okay, so you know how they say there is power in the details. This is a little detailed thing that I like to do. It just helps my pages become at least a little bit more even. Because as you place, I have separated these out into about, you can do as many as you want, but I have about 4 sections. In bookmaking, they call these signatures. So if we want to use the term signatures, that works perfectly here. And what I like to do is take my first one, put it inside my already created cover. And we just trimmed it to take 1/8 of an inch off of it so that it's going to fit inside our cover even better. Oops, don't really mean to mark on the cover. Sometimes that happens, so have an eraser ready. Okay, I'm just going to come along here real gently, add a line, come in here with my craft knife and my metal ruler and trim that off. Just go through a couple swipes because you have several pieces of paper here, and you don't want to try and do this in one fell swoop. It doesn't always create the best cut. So just be careful when you're doing that. Keep fingers out of the way. Okay, so at this point, what I'm going to do is take another signature and set it inside and do the same thing. Mark off where I want to mark it off, or cut it off rather. Set this aside so you don't get that out of order, and then line that up there and trim it. And you can see we're just going to keep doing this till we're done with all our signatures, and we're happy that these pages are as even on the edges as they can be. So this now slips back inside of here, right? And I'm very happy with how that looks. It's nice and even to me, and I'm going to do it again. So 3rd time, and then a 4th time. Okay, now to finish this book up, we have everything trimmed out. We know it's going to fit inside here beautifully, which it does. And then you're going to take a long reach stapler. You can find these at the office supply store, of course, probably on Amazon as well. You're going to line this up and give yourself your binding. You can also sew this. The thing is, though, about sewing, which I've never actually done, you have a lot of papers in here. I'm not really quite sure how well a needle's going to go through all those papers, or you could make also separate signatures, and that's a how-to for another day. The other thing you could do is maybe do 2 or 3 or 4 holes through here and just thread it that way. Again, that's another tutorial for another day. This is what is just a basic planner for me. It's all ready to go inside my planner book. So this part I wanted to take a little pause and work on how I'm going to stamp my cover. And so I'm using this Tattered Rose on the Valentine Captions by Heidi Swap on vellum sticker paper. And that's one of my most favorite ways to stamp, especially if I'm going to put it on something that I don't want to mess up. The 2 is from the February agenda, and it's just a great number. It's so beautiful. And as I go about adding some layers on here, I'm using the Misty Precision Stamp platform, which I love to use. I don't know, I just really like the freedom and knowing that I can go back over a stamp if the color isn't solid enough for me. I use February. It's a 3x4 months of the year stamp. I'm throwing in some of the vintage photo there with the love note. That love note is from the Valentine Captions. And this is Celebrate Love, and I'm using the Tattered Rose on this again. You can see my face, hello. But my stamp is not straight from the package. So I'm just going and sort of straightening it on the top of the stamp platform, which is awesome. So because it's on the vellum sticker paper, then I'm going to go around and trim as close to the artwork as I can and pull it off. And basically I'm just going to wrap it up by then putting that vellum sticker now to the front of this daily journal that I keep forgetting to call it properly. And I just like the way that gives us a title and some interest. Okay, so now I have a little bonus way of doing this that I want to share with you. And this is a way that we can create pockets on our little planner cover. Everything else is the same. I'm just showing you a different cover. So again, you take the 12x12 piece of paper, right? And I encourage you to go ahead and score it at 6 inches. So right in the middle is where you're going to score your 12x12 paper. Then you're going to turn that, and whatever you decide is the bottom of your paper, have that down here. This is going to be the bottom edge of your planner, okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to come up here to 3 3/4 and score that. Yes, you have it scored in half and you have it scored at 3 3/4. So now we're looking at this again, basically understanding we're going to flip this up and we're looking at the inside of our book. So this lower 3 3/4 is down here. So looking at your paper like that, come in here on the right edge and then score at 1 3/4 all the way down. Flip your paper all the way over, total 180, turn here, and do that again. 1 3/4. This paper is so pretty to work with. I mean, it's so fun to be able to see both sides of it, right? Okay, now you can do one of 2 things at this point. That is, you can come in here with your trimmer and line up that 1 3/4 inch, but stop when you get to this bottom score here. And then at this point, what's super easy, just come in here and trim here. So you're taking off that whole section. And then the other thing you could do with that instead, and I'm going to do it on the opposite side, is just cut right along the score with scissors real carefully. Just, you know, trying to stay inside that score line. And again, trim this out here. So you're just taking these 2 sections out from your 12 by 12. Save them for tags or notched little tags or I know, all kinds of things. Don't throw that away. That's the moral of that story. Okay, what you're going to do now is just, you can do this anyway. You can score these on any lines at any point at this place. And fold that in, fold this in, fold this up. Okay, so you have pockets. I got pockets. And the reason why I wanted this little extra part here is to close it in on the sides. So what you're going to do is grab some double-sided adhesive and add that into here. Go ahead while we're having this open here and add it to this other side as well. Take that off. Taking off your backer. This is one of my favorite sizes of double-sided adhesive to work with, is this 3/4 inch size. It's just comes in a pinch so often. And what I should have done first, so don't take off your backers yet and go ahead and score. I mean, at your score, go ahead and, okay, I made that a little complicated. Go ahead and fold your 6 inches before you take your backers off. And that way it's just kind of ready to go on a fold. And so you're going to kind of come in here and need to massage all your folds a little bit. But basically at the end of the day, you have some fun pockets inside of your planner. So this one didn't come in all the way, so you just want to make sure that that comes in a little better. But once I have my papers inside, then I open this up and I got pockets on each side of my planner. And that's just another alternative for making these planner books. And I want to encourage too, I'm big on making these for my monthly plan, my daily planner. I call my daily planner, my daily journal is what I call this. I keep saying planner, and I'm sorry about that. I don't mean to confuse you. I mean to say daily journal. But this is just a great idea for any kind of notebook you want to make, for gifts or whatever. You can have them cut in half. Even if you have a pocket, cut them in half. Use them for traveler's notebooks. This is a great way. Use them for traveling scrapbooks. That's always an awesome way to travel on the go, scrapbook on the go. And so that's just a look at insight into how I'm putting together my daily journals. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, thoughts, complaints, no, don't give me any complaints. Forget about that. I will read those down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.